What happens when you mix a middle-aged man reminiscing of his glory days with a chat room and an 18-year-old girl? In this week's episode of Caught, presented by Catfish, we're going to be taking a look into the double catfish story that tore down families and ended in murder. The story begins in May of 2005 in an online chat room called Pogo. Talhotblond, the username of the beautiful 18-year-old girl Jessie Schuyler from West Virginia. Jessie would use Pogo to post explicit photos of herself online, which had gained a lot of attention from male users. Even though Jessie was talking with a lot of guys, there was one in particular that caught her attention, an 18-year-old Marine by the name of Tommy, also known by his username Marine Sniper. Tommy told Jessie that he was soon going to be called for duty in Iraq, and shortly after, the two started sending provocative photos to each other online. As time went on, their conversations became more and more sexual. For the next few months, Jessie and Tommy would continue talking with each other on a daily basis, and soon they developed a love-filled relationship. They began sending gifts and love letters to each other, and there were even talks of marriage. Unfortunately, Tommy wasn't exactly who he said he was. The man behind the Marine Sniper account was owned by a Thomas Montgomery in Buffalo, New York, a middle-aged man in an unfulfilling marriage with 2 kids and a dead-end job. He pretended to be the Tommy he was 28 years ago when he served in the military. The photos that he would send to Jessie were actually old photos of himself. Their relationship was going perfect until everything came to light. Thomas's wife of 17 years caught him with Jessie's explicit photos and a thong that she had sent him. His wife began monitoring their conversations and noticed that as messages increased, it became more and more evident that Thomas was losing himself. She had then found a note that Thomas addressed to himself saying, "On January 2nd, 2006, Tom Montgomery, 46 years old, ceases to exist and is replaced by an 18-year-old battle-scarred Marine." This was a clear sign that Thomas had lost control and had been sucked into his new reality. In an interview, Thomas had said that his online relationship with Jessie felt more real than his own relationship with his wife and family.
His 17-year marriage was suffering.
He was unhappy on a lot of levels. And I think that's what led him to the internet, so that he could find some kind of happiness and some kind of fulfillment that he wasn't getting in real life.
Fast forward to March of 2006. Shortly after her findings, Thomas's wife wrote to Jessie exposing her husband of catfishing her. She sent a photo of him with his family and warned Jessie of his new deceptive personality. With all of this information, Jessie became furious. In an attempt to get back at him, she began talking to one of Thomas's associates, 22-year-old Brian Barrett. When Thomas found out, it created a discord in his relationship with Brian. Thomas was very jealous of Brian and made it very clear. Even though Jessie was still keeping contact with Thomas, she started falling in love with her Brian, even offering him her virginity. When Thomas found out, he told Jessie that Brian is going to pay for talking to Jessie, and the price was his life.
"I hate him with a passion, and for 10 cents, I would eliminate him."
That's a little drastic, isn't it?
Payback is a Jessie. I am the ultimate weapon. I am a Marine. Brian will pay in blood.
A few days later, Brian Barrett was shot dead in his vehicle by Thomas Montgomery.
To investigators, it now seemed clear. They believe Thomas Montgomery killed Brian Barrett in a fit of jealousy and rage.
Even though Thomas did not confess to the murder, investigators found that the gun used in the murder was a military rifle that belonged to Thomas. Ultimately, he was sentenced to 20 years in prison for the murder of Brian Barrett.
That you were very angry at Brian from time to time, that you were jealous, that he somehow had either poached Jessie or interjected himself into this relationship and there is now a love triangle. Did you or did you not have a motive to kill him?
According to the IM, yes. But I would never do that.
To make this case even more strange, when investigators went into the home of Jessie to interrogate her, they found that she didn't have a chat room account and has never even spoken with Thomas nor Brian.
Her mother started to cry.
And she looks at the officer and she says, "It was me. I was pretending to be my daughter the whole time."
Mary was the one posting the images, sharing personal information, and sending the articles of clothing without Jessie's consent. Even though Mary couldn't be charged as she didn't break any laws, her family had left her, her husband divorced her, and her daughter Jessie broke off all of communications.
Her husband filed for divorce, and she now speaks to neither him nor her daughter.
And so concludes the story of the Talhotblond and the Marine sniper. Leave a comment in the comment section down below and let us know if you think Mary was in the right or maybe she was in the wrong. Click the blog link in the description if you want more details on this story, and for more, follow us on other social media pages to get teasers on the new episode. Also hit that subscribe button and notification bell to be notified when the next episode of Caught, presented by Catfish, goes live.